Hall of Fame trainer Freddie Roach continues to backburner Terence Crawford. He says Floyd Mayweather rematch for his fighter Manny Pacquiao is still the #1 priority. Stay tuned. Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button, also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification if you want to become part of notification gang. Now, Freddie Roach, I did a video about Pacquiao yesterday. Freddie Roach, he did an interview with On the Ropes Boxing Radio. Link is in the description, so you can check that out if you want to hear the full podcast. I want to pull quotes, talk about what he said, and just get my thoughts. Freddie Roach said that Mikey Garcia's brother, I'm assuming Robert Garcia, came into his gym a couple weeks ago, and he asked if Manny would fight Mikey Garcia. He says that he likes the fight, but it's not his final decision, right? So I'm paraphrasing. Here's a direct quote. Freddie Roach said, "I would love for the Floyd Mayweather fight to happen, the rematch, but it seems like he's stuck on Conor McGregor right now." I'm unsure what's going to happen right there because I don't think the sports mix that well. McGregor would have to take 5 years to fight Mayweather. Mayweather is a very crafty boxer, and we would love to get him one more time, but that remains to be seen. Mikey Garcia is a big name. Crawford is a big name. There's some really good guys out there, but of course Mayweather is still at the top of the list, I think. There's a lot of good guys out there for us to fight, and I think Manny can still contend with all of those guys. From Freddie Roach, link in the description. Now, I'm going to keep saying this, man, and I told y'all in January, tell the truth. Tell the truth. I almost got choked up saying it. This is just funny, man. Like, I have not understood and seen when it comes to Team Pacquiao, there's so many different interviews, and you don't even have to try, but you can easily use it against them. Like, where I'm from, we call it double talking. You know what I mean? Like, people always get mad at me, but I don't, at the end of the day, I don't care. You guys say whatever in the comment section. Trust me, my bank account remains the same. You know what I mean? My relationship with my family and everything else that matters to me remains the same. If you're a supporter, we're not always going to agree or disagree when it comes to boxing. But, I mean, if you talk too reckless, you get blocked, and we keep it moving. But I call it double talk. Where I'm from, that's what it's called, it's double talk. And that's where statements are made. And it's crazy to me that people actually support the contradictions. Like, they act like when it comes to Pacquiao, they act like he's above all criticism. Listen, Pacquiao is a legend in the sport, and he's a good fighter, but that doesn't mean we omit what we see in front of us. And you'll have so many different conflicting things. For example, I don't know if, like, Freddie Roach is like keeps talent. I'm sure he's desired. A lot of people want to interview him and stuff, so maybe he doesn't remember all of the things he said previously, but it's crazy because he just did an interview a couple weeks ago. The video is on the channel, and I believe it was with the Manila Times, and he said, Crawford? Terence Crawford who? Who is Terence Crawford? A Mexican in a Filipino cell, but a black fighter, and a Filipino doesn't really sell good in America. So one, I already told you in that video, the lie detector test determined that was a lie, because the biggest fight in boxing history was not two blacks, it was not two Mexicans, it was not a Mexican and a Filipino, it was not a Puerto Rican and a Mexican, it was Floyd Money Mayweather, who is African American, black, right? And it was Manny Pacquiao. And this is the funny thing when it comes to a lot of people in the comment section, trainers, people want to omit factual information from history to suit their needs to make their point. You can't say a black and a Mexican or a black and a Filipino or any combination of different ethnicities won't sell, but then you have to omit something that happened to be the biggest fight of all. You know what I'm saying? That's like me saying, man, Michael J. Fox ain't never been in a blockbuster movie, but don't count Back to the Future 1, 2, or 3. You know, how stupid do you sound? You know what I'm saying? That sounds retarded. You get, oh, he never been in a classic, but none of the Back to the Futures don't include those. But wait, that's some of his highest grossing work. How can we just leave that out of the equation? You know what I'm saying? So I already disproved that. You can't say a black and a Filipino won't sell, but a black and a Filipino hold the record for the highest sales. Oh, but don't include that. You see how dumb that sounds? It doesn't even make sense. So that's one issue. And then the other issue is he said a black and a Filipino doesn't really sell good in America. But in this interview on this podcast, he says Garcia is a big name. Crawford is a big name. And I blame the fans, because you still have people, guys in the comment section, who they'll come after me. They're not going to address what Freddie Roach is saying and the clear-cut contradiction that I'm bringing up. They'll bring it up. They'll address something with me. Oh, why didn't you say anything when Mayweather and Keith Thurman, when Keith Thurman called him out? Man, what does Keith Thurman have to do with Floyd Mayweather? And what does Floyd or Keith Thurman have to do with what Freddie Roach just said? Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? That's how, like, some of you guys, like, if this was organized, like this whole YouTube. See, the problem is with YouTube, everyone has a voice. You know what I mean? And some people don't deserve a voice, and there's no accountability. You know what I mean? Oh, you're monkeys. Like, that's the stuff. That's your response to it. You know what I mean? Stupid stuff, racism and slander and all kinds of stuff. Oh, but Keith Thurman, what does Thurman have to do with that? Unless we're talking about Thurman and Pacquiao, which is the subject of the video. Pacquiao, Freddie Roach, Team Pacquiao, right? But if this was like organized, like let's say a court, you guys would get thrown out of court. You'd be held in contempt of court for not sticking to the subject. You know what I mean? Or you would lose your court case. It reminds me of I believe it was a Dave Chappelle joke, and he was talking about the Kobe rape case in Colorado, and he was talking about how Kobe played for his freedom and stuff. It was a funny little bit, and he said something like he said Kobe was testifying, but like, oh, so why did you bring this unknown girl back to the room? And he's like, hey, but Shaq does it all the time. It might have been a Cat Williams joke. I forget whose joke it was, but he randomly brought up Shaq. So he's being tried for rape or whatever the situation is, and you're bringing up something Shaq. Oh, Shaq, he always takes girls home from parties. Like, what does Shaq have to do with it? You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what y'all do in the comment section. The video is about Freddie Roach, his statements about his fighter Manny Pacquiao, and Pacquiao fighting other names, right? And here's another. This is really getting too easy. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, tell the truth. It's just gonna get worse and worse, because I don't get paid by these guys like directly. I get paid to speak my mind. YouTube every month. Well, I got direct deposit. I don't get an actual check, but every month the direct deposit, or like when I do my taxes and stuff, it says YouTube Google, right? That's what it says on the 1099. It doesn't say Al Heyman, Golden Boy. I can talk about whatever I want. You know what I mean? I always give people respect. I'm not out here calling people names and this and that or threatening people. I'm just giving my 2 cents. And I see a lot of issues with Team Pacquiao inconsistently. You know what I mean? And the crazy thing is the fans actually try to flip it. But this is the thing, when it comes to Pacquiao, aside from the only thing that I can see that people are using is, oh, but he's a legend, he doesn't have anything to prove, which it is true, he is a legend, but that's really weak, because he's still a champion. And I've mentioned in the last video, he is a legend, but if he doesn't want those priorities, then give up the belt. Don't hold the belt hostage. Don't be able to use, hey, I'm a WBO champion on your program sheet for your Jeff Horn fight. You know what I mean? So that's a matter of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. You want to be billed as the WBO champion, but you don't want to have the WBO champion responsibilities. And it doesn't work like that. And I even use this analogy in the last video about Pacquiao, is point blank period. I know people from working regular jobs all of my life where they promoted into a position, beat out the other contenders, and for whatever reason, maybe things were going, their kids needed help with their schoolwork and this new position was taking them away from that, or maybe the work was too hard, or they didn't like the position, it was just too stressful, whatever, then they step down. That's what these fighters can do. If you don't want the heat and fans are requesting these things, then step down as a champion and just fight. You can fight whoever you want. You know what I mean? But people don't want, the fighters don't want to look like bad. Like when Canelo got rid of he vacated his belt for Golovkin, it didn't make him look good. So that's one reason fighters don't want to do it. And two, they use it for promotional purposes. This is Pacquiao Jeff Horn for a championship, world championship boxing. You know what I mean? They want to be able to use that. But that comes with the territory. If you want to be able to use that, then you have to act in accordance to being a champion, right? Point blank, period. You know what I mean? People bring up stuff that don't have nothing. Oh, but Maidana. Do you guys understand boxing? Mayweather, when he fought Maidana beat Broner and was a welterweight champion. So that was a unification. People don't bring that up. And the whole tampered gloves. But at the end of the day, we know what it is. A lot of people said, oh, Floyd, he's a bitch. He should have fought him with tampered gloves. Who cares? You fight him. You fight Maidana with potentially tampered gloves, or fight anybody with any gloves. You know what I'm saying? But the walls are closing in for Team Pacquiao, because the stuff that the radical fan, not just if you're a Pacquiao fan, this is not aimed at you, but the radical fans, the things that they are saying, it's not adding up. You know what I mean? You can't say a black versus a Filipino won't sell, but then the highest grossing fight in boxing history is a black and a Filipino person, right? These are facts. You guys can go to the Forbes list or whoever has the top grossing boxing fights, Google it, right? The other excuse for not fighting names like Crawford, and this is why the walls are closing in, because you have top level talent at welterweight, not Jeff Horn. He could be good. He could be a phenomenon, but at this point he hasn't proven that, right? So when the fight plays out like most people think, then what are we gonna say? Well, oh, just like Canelo versus Liam Smith. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? This is not Alfred Hitchcock. It leaves nothing to the imagination, right? But that's why they're getting backed into a corner. You got killers like Keith Thurman, 2 belts, great unification fight for Pacquiao, and he's called Pacquiao out. He's currently calling Pacquiao out, and he has something that any fighter should want: 2 belts. Errol Spence, post-fight Kell Brooks, stopped him in the 11th, called Pacquiao out. So these guys are calling for it. Errol Spence is not calling out his friend Mayweather. He's saying, I want Keith Thurman, or I want Pacquiao. You know what I mean? And Danny Garcia is still a name. That's who Errol Spence is calling out. So you can't misdirect and redirect the pressure back to Mayweather, who is actually retired, and he already, like Freddy Roach is saying in this podcast, he's talking about fighting someone else, but he's not even ranked because he's retired. Pacquiao is ranked because he's a WBO champion. You go to the WBO's website, look at their ratings and rankings, you'll see Pacquiao's name as champion. Point blank, period. Other excuse, and this is why Pacquiao's team is kind of getting backed into a corner, is because let's say you don't want to fight welterweight killers, Spence, Keith Thurman, guys who are champions now, right? You have a guy who's in just the division below, and Terence Crawford, and he's doing the same type of job on everybody at 140. And Freddy Roach was in the opposite corner of him when he fought then champion Victor Postal, and I was at that fight live. I was like in the 3rd row, and I got a great viewing of the ass whooping that Terence Crawford administered. And what makes it worse is 2 things. One, Bob Arum, you can go to YouTube. He said he wants to make the fight several times. So to me, I don't really think it's an Arum thing, because I don't think Arum is holding Pacquiao back. I think it's Team Pacquiao, be it Freddie Roach, Michael Conks, or Pacquiao himself. I don't know. But that's still not an excuse, because Pacquiao, you appointed these people to represent you. You know what I mean? So if they're speaking out and saying, oh, we don't like Crawford's style, like Michael Conks said, right? If Freddie Roach is saying, oh, a black and a Filipino won't sell, these are the people you put in charge. It's just no different than Boxingego brand. If I have a writer or I send somebody to a fight and they're not respecting the rules of like the media rules appointed by the promoter, let's say they're like illegally in an area they don't have clearance for, or they're yelling out racist terms or whatever, then that's a bad representation of me. Just like when you see major, like Ray Rice, he'll be on the cover of a Madden game and he's like, oh, he punched his bitch, you're off the game, we don't want nothing, all the endorsements, you lose them. Same with Tiger Woods, all these dudes, you know what I mean? They get in trouble because those companies, those capitalists, they don't want to be associated with that. Like, oh, you going through your drama? Nah, we're cool. I remember 50 Cent, something special, Matt. After he got shot 9 times, his record label dropped him. He had a song with Beyonce. His album at the time was hot, but he got shot. Listen how crazy this sounds. You gotta do something, baby. 50 Cent, man. He gets shot. Like, he didn't set up his own shooting. You know what I mean? That's something you might not even survive, getting shot 9 times. He got shot 9 times. So in that situation, I don't know what caused it or all the details, but he would be considered the victim, right? Somebody ran up on him in front of his grandma's crib and pop, 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 and you know what I mean, and shot him. And he gets dropped as a result because, again, Colombia has all this money and they're like, he's going to be dead or in jail. We don't want this negative publicity. Our artist getting shot up. Boom, dropped him. And then it wasn't until Eminem and Dr. Dre gave 50 a chance. And then he actually blew up even bigger than when he was on Columbia. But that's how it works in the game. You know what I mean? And no one wants to be associated with that. So just like I said, if I send someone to a fight and they're like misbehaving and making my brand look bad, that's what it is. So same thing with Pacquiao. Pacquiao, you appointed Michael Conks and Freddie Roach, and they're the ones speaking on your behalf. So maybe you should have a group meeting and be like, man, you're making it sound like I don't want to fight Crawford. So if Pacquiao really does want Errol Spence and Thurman and Crawford and these names, then he needs to get with his people. I'm sure Pacquiao is somewhat in tune. You know, I know he's busy, senator, fighter, and all that, but he still has people around him that, hey, Freddie Roach just did an interview and said a black and a Filipino won't sell. You know what I'm saying? You can get with your people. This is your team. So it makes Pacquiao look bad. And it's like I said, they're getting backed into a corner. Every single excuse that is coming out, it doesn't make sense. Like, okay, you don't want to fight Thurman or Spence at welterweight. They're too big or whatever. You don't care about their championship belts. Then your own promoter, Bob Arum, wants to make Terence Crawford versus Pacquiao. And Crawford even said last fight after Felix Diaz that he would like it. He said it before. He said, I'm not going to chase and beg. I'll make my own path, but I want to fight Pacquiao, right? People want to see it. And Freddie Roach is talking about a Mayweather rematch. You know what I'm saying? So clearly you don't want no smoke with Terence Crawford. So it's like, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? And I don't buy that, oh, he's a legend. Okay, give up your legendary WBO belt and then you relieve some of that pressure. Canelo did it. People didn't like it, but he did it. Your mandatory was Golovkin. There's pressure to make an agreement in 15 days. He didn't want the pressure because he was getting sued and dealing with that lawsuit with All-Star Boxing. So what did he do? He relinquished his belt, right? Tyson Fury, he tested positive for cocaine, and he knew it was a matter of time before he got stripped, so he relinquished his belt instead of dragging on the process. Pacquiao can do that. If he doesn't want to fight any of these guys, you know what I mean? Then why not? And like I said, it's worse because Pacquiao's own promoter wants to make the fight. Bob Arum scores anyway because if Crawford, let's say Crawford stops Pacquiao, that's a top-ranked fighter. He wins, right? If Pacquiao beats him, then you just beat this generation's Mayweather. That's what people are saying. So now you might even work yourself into a Mayweather fight. So that's it. That goes, people, you can always read between the lines. Freddie Roach is saying, hey, I would love the Mayweather rematch, but the guy who's being appointed as this generation's Mayweather, right, Terence Crawford, and I don't think they do everything exactly the same, but they're both gifted. That's clear. They're both special. They're both skilled. You know what I mean? And he's on your side of the fence. So like, okay, Keith Thurman, they're on the PBC side, Errol Spence on the PBC side, but this guy is on your side. He's on the top-ranked side. That fight can be made. Your promoter said that. He said he wants to make the fight. Yet, there's still an excuse. Oh, the black and Filipino won't sell, or he's not a big name. Terence Crawford, who? It's just, it's almost laughable. And like I said, the walls are closing in. If fighters are legendary and they have nothing else to prove or whatever, then they could start a GoFundMe account. You know what I mean? They can make money that way. Or I'm sure he gets paid as a senator. I don't know. I mean, it's probably not a boxing paycheck, but it's still something. He made a lot of money with the Mayweather fight. So it's just, it's unfair to the competition coming up. You know what I mean? And it's not even like you're making the biggest events outside of it. Like, let's say Floyd Mayweather fights Conor McGregor. People won't keep bringing that up, but that's still a big, massive event, and he's not ranked because he's retired. You know what I mean? People, oh, you're justifying. No, those are facts. He is retired. He hasn't fought since September of 15, the year he fought Pacquiao. These are facts, right? So at least he's doing a big, colossal event that no one can deny. Those are facts. I just seen a forecast from ESPN or something about how much this fight will make Mayweather-McGregor, and it was ridiculous. It was like what they're projecting it to do, live gate and pay-per-view sales, all that. Crazy numbers. You know what I mean? So if Pacquiao was even doing that, that would be one thing. But he's not doing that. Jeff Horn is not this colossal worldwide fight. McGregor is, because McGregor's from Ireland. He'll do fucking none. Floyd's from America. You have an African-American versus an Irish fighter. You know what I mean? So Ray Sells, things like that. They're both the biggest stars in their respective sports. So anybody would do that. I mean, De La Hoya said for his fighter Canelo, he wants to fight McGregor. Pacquiao's team said they want to fight McGregor, so they would do the same thing. But it's just funny to me that Freddie Roach is saying he wants the Mayweather rematch. You beat Crawford, you beat Thurman, you beat Errol Spence, then you definitely are gonna raise Floyd's antenna. You know what I mean? Because Floyd, at this point, he doesn't get the credit for his work. So at the end of the day, I'm sure he's trying to make money in the biggest events. You know what I mean? So if Pacquiao really wants the Mayweather rematch, then you can get a decent paycheck by fighting Spence, Thurman, or Terence Crawford. Beat them, like your fans are saying, is going to be easy. It's easy work. And then now you're right there in the picture for, if you look impressive versus them, knock them down like you did Chris Algieri, knock them down 6 times. Now you're right there, and that might lure Floyd Mayweather back because he knows he can make money with Pacquiao too. But how are you going to expect to lure Floyd to fight you when he can fight Conor McGregor for the same pay, if not more or whatever? It'll be an easier fight, and you're fighting Jeff Horn. That's not building excitement. So if Freddie Roach really wants the Mayweather rematch, and his shoulder is better and all this other stuff, then why wouldn't you go through the proper channels to build the buzz enough where people would want it? And the final thing I'll say that I know a lot of the fans are fake is because, again, they hold people to different standards. For example, Mayweather versus McGregor, oh, this is ridiculous. But nobody's complaining that Pacquiao and his team, Arum and all these people, have said they would love to see Pacquiao versus McGregor. Pacquiao himself said in an interview that, hey, if the Mayweather fight falls through, I'll fight McGregor. You know what I'm saying? But no one brings that up. It's crazy to me. And then it's like like I said, the walls are closing in. You guys can keep avoiding the truth, but it's coming, and it's coming to tell the truth. It's coming in a bad way. You know what I mean? Because people see it, they just choose to ignore it. Every excuse you make, oh, who is Terence Crawford? What is a Terence Crawford? Who is that guy? Oh, I thought you meant Terrence Howard, and all these corny jokes and stuff, right? But he's fighting Jeff Horn, who's lesser known than Crawford. Oh, but Crawford, he sold 50,000 on pay-per-view versus Postal. Who is it, Terrence Howard? Man, different than a dog, man. It's something with this hustle and flow, man. You know what I mean? But where's Jeff Horn's any of his pay-per-views in America? He don't even have 50, so Crawford has 50,000 more than Jeff Horn. This is really too easy. But you guys keep making excuses. But I really feel that if Roach wants the Mayweather fight, then walk through the fire, fight one of the guys calling you out, look impressive like your fans believe, and then you're right back in the picture. And the funny thing is, I've been doing this too long. I realize it's the fans don't believe a lot. Some of them just come out and tell you. They're like, oh, Pacquiao's old. He shouldn't have to fight him, man. He's old. Floyd is old too. But you're not giving Conor McGregor a chance, and Floyd's old, right? Why are people saying Floyd should fight Triple G? He's old. He's older than Pacquiao. You know what I mean? It's because you know that Pacquiao has a chance to lose against those guys, no matter what you say. You know what I mean? And that's what they don't want to see. So, oh, he's done enough. He's old. You know what I mean? That is all that type of stuff. But I'm not letting up. I want to see it. I think these are good fights. And again, I'll probably stop making the videos like this if you get rid of that belt, because then I have nothing else to. There's no reason. You know what I mean? Floyd is not ranked. He wants to fight Conor McGregor. It's big, and to make big money. People are, oh, it's going to damage boxing. How? If you generate that much money, I don't really think it's going to be a bust. Like, no matter if you personally like it or not. That's like, I'm sure there's a movie out there that generated 800 million. Let's say Star Wars, the newer ones, right? And it generates $800 million in the US. Even if you didn't personally like it and you don't think it's the best Star Wars, that's like saying this hurts Hollywood. This hurts the movie box office business. No, it doesn't. Just because you didn't personally like that episode of Star Wars, but it made that type of money, it doesn't really hurt. Oh, this is a black eye for movies. No, it's not. It made that much money. It's not. You know what I mean? To me, Cotto versus Kamagai and Jeff Horn, those are more black eyes because those are actually for titles boxing titles, and they're not going to do those types of numbers. So it's just kind of a waste. It doesn't really shape the division. Mayweather-McGregor doesn't shape the division either, because if Conor gets his ass whooped, he'll go back to the UFC. But at least it'll generate a lot of money and a lot of interest and a lot of eyes. I guarantee you, it'll be Chelsea Lately and all these people that don't even cover boxing talking about this fight. It happens all the time. It happened with Mayweather-Pacquiao, George Lopez, and I can't brief. You know what I mean? I never even seen half of the people make one boxing video, but then Mayweather-Pacquiao rolls around and it's like extra. They're talking about boxing. Like what? When do they ever cover boxing on any level? Too easy, man. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.